All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines. Today, I have such a treat, a new friend, and his name is Sat Devbir. And so, in this conversation today, I'm really looking forward to, first of all, getting to know Sat, to introducing him to you, or maybe you already are aware of him and we get to know him better together. But we're also going to be having, I think, a beautiful, and I feel like deeply beautiful conversation about the energies of this upcoming Lionsgate 8/8 day and just the portal of all of it that we're in, and also the fact that we're in eclipse season now too. It's not just any old normal Lionsgate. It's also eclipse season in Leo. Wow. With the South Node now in Leo and Jupiter in Leo and all this very powerful energy happening all at the same time. And Sat was just starting to share with me before we were recording some really beautiful insights on that. So I'm excited to hear more and share more and all of that. So let me explain how I got to know Sat and why I felt called to connect, etc. So Sat, I originally saw on the course that you just recently did with Lee Harris, called the Empowered Sensitive. So my guides are very clear with me about what I'm supposed to listen to, what I'm supposed to sign up for or not sign up for. And they were very clear. Sign up for the Empowered Sensitive. I was like, okay. And I loved it and it was beautiful and we can talk about that later at the end. But what struck me honestly more than anything was you and your presence. And I mean, of course, I love Lee. That was all wonderful and beautiful. So many things that Lee was sharing, I learned a lot from myself. Um, but your energy, you were new to me, and your energy was remarkable and so beautiful. And I had this sense just from your energy and also from certain things you were saying. I was thinking, wow, I have a guess that his way of connecting with the spirit world and his way of connecting with his guides, there's some resonance. Like, what is going on? So I reached out and we met, and the instant we got on that call, a few weeks ago, I had this experience that I've never had before, and I'm going to share it right here on YouTube because it feels, I don't know, just so beautiful and says a lot to me about you. So what this experience was and happened again today is when I closed my eyes, sort of started going into sacred space with you. Um, I went up to the space where my guides are typically, but that space opened up into this massive room, and it felt like, and it feels like now too, that our guides are in the same room. I've never experienced this before. So, I'm just going, what is that? And then, yes, it turns out, of course, you are just this beautiful, beautiful being with amazing insights yourself. And yeah, just really loving getting to know you and connecting with you and experiencing this jewel of this being that is you. So that was a very long-winded introduction, but welcome and thank you so much for being here.
Oh my goodness, thank you for that gorgeous introduction. And it was taking me right back to us having that experience together and talk about the most magnificent meetings, right? When you just have that soul recognition. And yeah, I think that's really helpful for everyone to maybe feel in our resonance too. We want to welcome you into this magnificent room that today what came through was it's called the Celestial Ashram, where our guides gather and where we're also all invited to receive from them. So yeah, so happy to be here. And yeah, thank you again for that beautiful, beautiful introduction.
Thank you. Um, well, let's start. Can we start with Lionsgate? So you were saying before we started recording that you're feeling, a lot of energy with this Lionsgate, and you said that it's very distinctly different for you this year compared to previously. So you want to share more? Yeah, anything there.
Oh, absolutely. It's wild. I honestly don't remember when I started tracking Lionsgate. I think maybe around 2008. Happy coincidence there, the eights. But I've always loved the infinity symbols. I've always felt a connection to the very real components of this time of year in terms of Sirius A starting to rise with the sun and the Nile historically flooding, making it a time of prosperity because then the crops would grow and things like that. And just the fact that the ancient ones were able to tap into how Sirius A is our spiritual sun. And particularly in this world that's gone so hyper masculine to the degree that that masculine energy has become toxic and the patriarchal energy has become toxic, we need to balance that out with this more celestial sun that's even bigger. And it's just the perfect representation of how the conscious mind that's ruled by the sun is only 10% of our consciousness. And the subconscious mind that's ruled by the moon, but also by Sirius A, is 90% of our consciousness. And that's where our limiting beliefs live, our entire belief system. But most interesting for us often is spotting those limiting beliefs and useful ones too. It's always good to track the useful ones that are in there. But we have that's all constructed in the subconscious, and we also have our own self-concept that is in the subconscious, ruled by the moon, Sirius A, in that 90% of our consciousness that's underneath the superficial layer of awareness that we use to kind of navigate the physical world. And so, yeah, I was pretty surprised when I got this message from the Syrians, I think less than a week ago, when I was tuning into Sirius A and tuning into the Syrians and what messages they might have around Lionsgate. Because it's been so elusive for the longest time leading up. I haven't been able to pinpoint what I should be doing or what the energies are going to be like. And then I started seeing all these infinity symbols kind of weaving things together. And that really tracked with the theme of integration that we're in this new 9-year cycle that 2026 initiated. And so that was the first point that the Syrians made of why this year feels so different, feels so significant, feels kind of imperative to actually tune into this energy. And I know there is a lot of hype around Lionsgate and a lot of kind of, just people using it as a way to get attention or clicks or whatever, and no no judgment there, but I love when we can drop in to the truth and the deeper essence of what's actually happening and what's actually available to us because it's easy to kind of see some things online and kind of sense there's something major happening, but not really knowing what to do or how to receive it. And so I love that we get to talk about this today and kind of help folks drop into some of these deeper layers. So that was the first one that these infinity symbols that the eight is so representative of, they're helping us weave things together. They're helping us with the integration process. And I've talked about this not very much, but just a couple times before, how not long ago I was actually shown how the initiation of 2008 was about bringing all of the spiritual energy online on the planet because that 9-year cycle was going to hold the 12-21-12 end of the Mayan calendar and beginning of the new age of Aquarius. And so it was really important to bring those spiritual energies in. And then the cycle that started in 2017 was more about helping us then rediscover what it means to be human with the presence of this new consciousness. And so we were exploring a lot of the spiritual, and then we were exploring a lot of the humanness and what does it mean to be a human on Earth, kind of holding this new vibration. And now in the cycle that 2026 initiated, we're figuring out how to blend those things. How can we really bring this spiritual divine energy into embodiment in this human vessel. And
Yeah.
so the eights, right? The infinity symbols, they're weaving that together. They're helping us feel more integrated in the way that we're actually embodying that. And so the next level that kind of blew me away with the Syrians was that they said it was actually them who were influencing our consciousness and saying, yes, you guys, this old scarcity matrix, boring. Divide and
Boring.
conquer, boring. Right? Like,
Boring.
yeah, the density, boring. These old stories, boring, right? They're like, if you need to write yourself a permission slip to move on, go ahead and do that. That can be one of your Lionsgate rituals, right?
Boring.
Yes, boring and permission to move on. And so, yeah, they said this nervous system work that's up is largely influenced by them. That
Mm,
that's been a thing for a long time. The ancient sages and yogis predicted that this time would be information overload and that we would need to really prepare our nervous systems because it wasn't going to let up. It was only going to get more and more intense. And so we have to match that. We have to rise to the occasion. And so they said, this is why this year's Lionsgate feels so significant as well, because we're being called to open our lion hearts, our courageous, brave hearts. And if we have to do it afraid, that's okay. If we have to do it even with some resistance hanging on, that's okay. But we have to keep this open and keep moving forward in that Leo energy that's really supporting us right now. But they talked about those consciousness trends in terms of nervous system regulation, in terms of authenticity, and that it's an act of courage to actually be yourself and be expressed as your authentic self instead of curating some version of you that you then have to perform,
wow.
which is also boring, so exhausting, right?
So boring.
Yes, and that's what I love about you. I think I told you even before we had our first conversation that morning in my meditations, the guides were showing me she's so authentic, she's so genuine, she's here to be in the realness and support people to really go there and embody that and encourage this kind of tossing out of the old way of performing or whatever idea of spirituality we used to have that was maybe not even relevant, but also not even attainable in terms of living in this world and thinking that you're never going to have a negative emotion again or something like that. Right. So, yeah, I love that you laugh at that. That's the perfect response. So, yeah, so also thank you for holding that consciousness as well that we get to align in this way and yeah, invite communities into this. It's so profound. And this is coming from six-dimensional beings, right? The Syrians that I communicate with are in the upper octaves of 6D. And my first introduction to them was when I was actually taken to the other side back in 2007. And they introduced me to the higher university there that's stationed on Sirius A for our local galaxy. And it's where we often go between incarnations to prepare for where we want to go next. And maybe if we're done with our earthly incarnations for a while, we've kind of maxed out our human potential, then we go to higher university on Sirius A and we say, okay, where am I going to go next? Am I going to go to the path of Pleiades? Am I going to go to the path of whatever, where, whatever realm, whatever's relevant for each of our souls? And so that in and of itself is a really powerful place and consciousness. There are astral libraries, all kinds of things going on, all kinds of different beings there. And so that also feels particularly accessible this year. And the guides have said through this Lionsgate period, it's really powerful to set the intention when you're going to sleep that your astral body goes up to higher university and checks out what's going on there and maybe enrolls in some classes and workshops and things and really resource ourselves in that way. And then we might just wake up feeling a bit altered and feeling a little more resourced to keep up with this intensity instead of feeling like we're going to collapse under this pressure in the world, feeling like we can be in our brave hearts and we can continue to be trailblazers and innovators for this new matrix that we're literally inventing as we go, as a co-creation with higher beings, of course, but there's not an actual roadmap here, which is why so many people are reverting back to religion and old structures that feel familiar. And the Syrians are like, please don't do that.
Boring. Boring. No.
Boring. That's true. That's true. It's
It- it-
true.
but if it's right for a person, I fully support it. But yeah, no.
Absolutely. It's not that it's 100% of the time wrong. Sometimes it's aligned enough service, but if it's because someone is just so fearful and their nervous system is so dysregulated by not having a map, then let's find a map, right? Let's figure out how to regulate the nervous system so we can keep innovating and moving forward. This isn't a time to really be moving backward. So, yeah, there's a lot of messaging around that, which has been pretty incredible. So that's a little bit of what I've been tapping into around this Lionsgate. It really is utilizing these Leo energies. And that's one of the core qualities for folks who know even a little bit about astrology and the qualities of Leo. It's unapologetically being yourself, being expressed and taking up space and letting the light shine on you.
Mm.
And it's not to take it away from anyone else. It's an invitation to all of us equally to be in that robust, radical, authentic expression of who we really are, the core of our essence. And so that's the deeper work as well, is we can only be as authentic as we know ourselves. And so at that level of subtlety that the Syrians bring, there's this invitation to drop down into those deeper layers of self-attunement and really connect to your core essence. Who am I underneath my self-concept? And as we discover new layers of our own truth, then that subconscious space that holds the shape of our self-concept starts to shift. The shape of your self-concept will start to shift to match these quantum leaps that we have to move closer to this integration and coherence between the human self and the soul self. And that coherence is such a relief. That in and of itself will create so much sympathetic discharge from your nervous system
Yeah.
because that's a big part of why we hide, why we adapt in terms of self-abandon and perform instead of just letting ourselves be who we are, because at some version of ourselves, at some age, at some life stage, that was not safe. Right. And so your nervous system is holding this fear and this kind of hypervigilance. And as soon as you have that deeper connection to your own true essence, your whole body can actually exhale all of that unsafety out, and you feel that natural rise of your deeper expression. So it's worth it to sit in the discomfort of silence and nothing's happening. I'm trying to connect with myself, but nothing's happening, whatever it is. Or sometimes people sit down and they see all kinds of stuff, and it depends on the day. So, right, whatever it is, whether it's comfortable, uncomfortable, beautiful, boring. It's just we really need to spend that time with ourselves in self-attunement.
Well, what I find it one of the many things I'm finding fascinating what you're saying is um I have channeled the Syrians so much lately, so much because, well, yeah, over the last year, a lot, especially in the last, since May, they have been coming through over and over and over again. We just had Mercury retrograde conjunct Sirius. So, like, Mercury went direct conjunct Sirius, And and yeah, so multiple times when I channel, I don't have a particular thing I'm going to channel usually. It's whoever shows up. Any infinite benevolent being shows up, but it's been the Syrians over and over and over again. And
Mm.
so much of what you just said is precisely what they have said multiple times. Number one, they what's fascinating about the infinity symbol is that uh multiple times I have channeled them and they are very clear. There's this theory that Sirius is the binary star with our sun. And so they're supposedly in this dance, if that theory is true, right? Um, and different scientists and astrologers debate about whether or not it's true. But when I channel, what the Syrians say to me is, they're like, it's true. And
Yeah.
even if you don't think it's true, there's a medicine actually in just pretend it's true because energetically we need you to. And what they show me then in the channeling, like, repeatedly, they have held us so that we come into an infinity sign between our sun and them, like the literal Sirius system. Um, and what they keep showing is that there's a medicine in this infinity dance going between our star, the sun, and their star system. Uh, and if we are binary star system, right, then they're our companion, like literally. And
Yes.
then the other thing that's fascinating, two other things. The nervous system component is humongous. Every time I channel them, there's always something about the nervous system and regulating and nourishing the nervous system. Like their medicine seems like their energy seems to be so deeply nourishing of the nervous system. Yeah, yeah. And and then there was one other part that was super important. What was it? Oh, yes, out of all of the beings that I channel, which is again a whole bunch of different ones and different star systems and inner earth beings, all the things, angels, all of it, all of the realms are completely dedicated to us and completely dedicated to, supporting us in this time of transformation and remembering and all of it. But out of all of them, it always feels like the Syrians are kind of like the top most dedicated. It's not like the other ones aren't. I don't know. So it's weird to say that, but does that fit with what you feel?
Oh, completely. I mean, everything you just shared, there's so much aliveness in the space because they're here and they're going, yes, yes, yes. And that's exactly why they compared themselves to the moon, or they compare Sirius A to the moon, because that's our binary system too, right? So completely in how it rules the subconscious, so do they. The sun rules the conscious mind, right? And so it's exactly that. It's exactly as you said. And yeah, there's something so palpable about their support and the way that they they are rooting for us also because every quantum leap we make
Yeah.
affects the galactic.
Yeah.
Like I've been beamed up to Melchior's ashram a lot too, the galactic logos or the heart of the galaxy and that
Mhm.
soul that evolved to the degree that it's taken our local galaxy as its body. So we're in the body of this massive logoic level soul of of our galaxy, and it's very interested in this current ascension wave in
Yeah.
terms of the ascension of consciousness, the reality of not the spiritual bypass version of that. And yeah, and so the Syrians are really on that task force of this wave of bringing everything back towards stasis. That there are moments, even in a galaxy, where we explore contrast, we explore contrast, we explore contrast, and there's something gritty about that, and it develops our souls and adds spiritual mass to that eternal soul body. But then there's always a point when divine intelligence says, okay, we're going to call you back now. You used
Yes.
your free will to move away from balance and harmony enough. You explored that contrast enough. Now we're going to call you back to a higher harmonic. And so it's not just Earth, but our entire galaxy is being called back to a higher harmonic and this evolution of consciousness as a result. And the other piece that I was dying to share as you were talking about the nervous system and how they talk to you about that is they were the ones who told me to tap into the nervous system of our solar system because we
Wow.
do have a galactic nervous system and we have this local nervous system of the solar system, and that is very real. And so I started telling people, even if you don't want to study astrology or you don't necessarily believe in it or whatever, if you can just let it expand your consciousness into a meta view of life and the world, that's enough because that will plug you in to the greater nervous system around you, which will resource your individual nervous system.
Yes.
And that was something that they really emphasized when they gave me that message a few years back. And
Ooh,
I've really personally benefited from that too. I can plug right into that greater nervous system around me. And then it just erases any of that primal feeling of I'm out here alone trying to survive. Like it just disappears when I plug back into that greater nervous system at a planetary level, at the level of the solar system, at the level of the galaxy. It's really, really resourcing. So I think that's another piece that's especially available right now as Series A is so active and it is in this beautiful harmony with our sun and this collaboration as it's rising with the sun right now. And so we have so much more access.
amazing. Yeah. And I can feel like we could talk about this, and we could talk about that, and we could talk about this.
I saw your wheels turning. I was like, what's happening in there? I'm so interested.
I know. So it's like I think this would need to be like many conversations about many different things, but no, but just to toss out there, another conversation someday could be the fact also the other biggest theme that comes through for me when I am channeling the Syrians hugely. It's the nervous system, but it's hugely DNA. And it's the helix, which is not the infinity symbol. That there's that too, but it's similar. It's the helix energy, and I have channeled so many times. And then I was mentioning to you Dr. John Ryan before we started recording. He also, I feel like the two of you need to meet, but yeah, he and I both channel a lot about the Syrians, holding space for us to come into our highest expression of our quote, what we call DNA, but like really, I experience it more like the light codes of information. All these words make it too limited, for what I feel like it really is. But do you get messages around DNA relating to the Syrians or
Oh my goodness.
light
Yeah.
codes and all of that?
Do I ever? I mean, I want to give credit to Babaji because my first experience of DNA activation was from Babaji. He came to me and he trained me on DNA activation. So honoring the teacher, the avatar Babaji, but my avatar Babaji. But then, yeah, the Syrians stepped in and they started to talk about exactly what you just said, how scientists will call certain human DNA junk DNA.
Right.
And they said, no, no, that's not junk DNA. It's just sleeping. And
Exactly.
to your point, there's light and consciousness in there that we can stimulate and wake up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, you froze for a minute, and then now we're good. We're good. You're back. Keep going.
Perfect.
Keep going.
So, yeah, so the Syrians, they sent me to Tibet to get these crystals, these Tibetan crystals that have the carbon inside of them.
Wait, do you mean you literally physically went to Tibet, like the place, like your body went to Tibet? It's not in just in your mind. I'm just clarifying because it's totally
Exactly.
true.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm doing more astral travel than I even want to do. So fair question, but no, physically,
Okay,
I
physically.
had to go to Tibet and collect these crystals because they have that perfect balance of carbon and silica.
Yes.
So
Mm.
yeah, as our DNA is moving to literally become more silica based versus carbon based, we are becoming more crystalline.
Yes.
Literally, we're becoming more
Yeah.
crystalline. And
Right.
so I'll even take like silica supplements and things like that because my body loves it. It loves that crystalline energy. So I'll
Mm.
take liquid silica and things. And yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. And I think that was even the Syrians that recommended that I take that. So yeah, they're really on it with the DNA activation and how we can really elevate our consciousness, but also our physiology.
Literally. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, when I've been channeling again, this the Syrian's been coming through so much. I've been holding something in the last 3 months called it's called the Magical Mercury Light Codes Tour. Anyway, long story that I won't try to explain here, but basically in there, we've been going with Mercury one whole time around the sun. And my guides told me this over like a year and a half ago. You need to hold a Mercury journey in May to August of 2026. And it's going to be, one time around the sun with Mercury. And just don't worry, we'll tell you why when you get there. I was like, what? Okay.
Mm.
So I did. And I didn't realize it turned out all these weird coincidences about that exact timing. Um, but bottom line, during this particular Mercury journey around the sun, from the point of view of Earth, it happens to be um, a Mercury cycle where Mercury went direct conjunct Sirius. So it was going back and forth with Sirius. So who keeps coming through in my channeling in this journey are the Sirians. And what they have been doing is taking us all the way up into these different layers. So you're probably very familiar with this place. I keep being like, where are we? But they keep taking us up into these higher and higher, almost like we're going up in different elevations of dimensions in the Syrian realm. And they took us through various ones, but in the yeah, and so we're basically getting activated in the ultimate light codes of our being, and it's like they hold this role. It's like, nope, you can go higher, you can go even higher, keep going. Like you're just this is who you
Yeah.
naturally are. It's all there in that quote unquote junk DNA, but it's actually inherent light codes in your being, and your soul chose to turn it on right now. Let's do it. Like that's their
Mm.
kind of energy around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that
No.
fit?
And it's because they've really been there before, and some of us have too. Some of us have
Mhm.
already been through the path of Sirius and the path of Pleiades, and we've come down from Lyra and Arcturus and all of these places, or even neighboring galaxies, but others on Earth haven't. And so they're really committed. It's almost like they feel that because they've walked this path, they have some sort of obligation to help others move through the same path that they've already walked.
Ah,
So yeah, it's very supported by them, this whole process, this whole evolutionary pulse. And yeah, they're really, as I said before, influencing our collective consciousness. And so those of us who are tapping in at this level are getting it first, right? We're feeling it. We're having these kinds of conversations, but then it starts to beam out more and more fully to the morphogenetic fields, which will make it more available for everyone. And
yes.
it's so cool how people are spontaneously waking up. I see it all the time. I'll be wearing some crazy crystal necklace or something, and it's like the person at the mechanic shop is like, "What crystal is that? I love amethyst." And and I'm like, "This is amazing."
Hmm. That's adorable. Yeah, and what in the last, I think it was the very last thing I channeled just a couple days ago. At the end of the channeling, I was actually at that point I was channeling something I haven't channeled very much, which was beings of our sun. And yeah, it was hilarious. They were like sort of similar to when you're a parent with teenagers, which I am. Your kids kind of forget you even are a human, that you even exist. It's sort of like that with us. You're like, you
Mm.
guys have been channeling the Pleiades and the Syrians and the whatever, but hey, we exist too over here on your star called the sun. You know,
Oh,
and it was
yeah.
hilarious. But anyway, at the end, the very, very end, their last sort of message was, in the channeling, they were holding us as being these Leo beings, beings of this star system, which is our sun system, and then in concert with our Sirian system. But um, we were taken as the Leo energy of us, and we were surrounded by beings of the sun, and then these crystalline beings came in, and they brought in this kind of crystal chamber, like a body, our body size chamber, and invited us to step in as the Leo uh, queen lioness or king lion kind of being into this crystalline chamber. And long story short, they gave us an option to be activated into our crystalline self, right? And then come out of that crystalline realm. And by the end, they said, essentially, you're moving into this more and more crystalline way of being, the state of being. And it's like when you are carrying around a literal crystal, right? And you know what that feels like when you hold it in your hand and it's like, whoo, it really lights you up. You are that walking around the world, like you're standing in the grocery store. It's like the grocery store is holding in its hand a beautiful crystalline being because that's what you're becoming. And then you get to be an emissary of that, right?
Mm.
And then, yeah, going back to what you were saying though earlier, how to be that and yet be human, right? That it's not like suddenly we never have a bad day and suddenly we never get upset with our kids or whatever. Yeah, how to be both feels like again a whole big gigantic topic we could talk about for a very long time, but yeah, so much.
And that it will change. Yeah, the psycho-emotional field is changing alongside this evolution. So, yeah, that all will change. We are redefining what it means to be human right now. And I think that was another one of the messages that blew my mind from the Syrians when they started to talk to me about how as soon as we unify as one human race and we get over this insanity of racism and prejudice and all of the things that divide us, so as soon as you all really, really unite as one human race, then you'll
Mm,
be ready for the uniting with the galactic race because you also belong to this greater galactic race. And that's
yeah.
what so many of us have been craving with disclosure and things like that. We're really just feeling so ready to be at one with these other humanoid races that are all over the galaxy surrounding us. We know them, they love us, and we love them too. We miss them. It's
Yeah.
painful sometimes to be separated from them. And so they said, keep going with unifying humanity, keep going with identifying as one human race and creating that thread of oneness throughout humanity, because that's what's going to allow you to reunite with the galactic race as well.
Yeah.
And know your place, know that you belong within that greater galactic race also.
Yeah. And I feel that in the infinity symbol that you started out talking about, right? Like that we are always one. There's no such thing as this split over there and then this split over there and then the end. Like, whoa, but how about we're forgetting that we're all source? I mean, I don't know, it gets really tricky to me. Yeah, to have a narrative of this and then that's the end.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I
Yeah.
love that you said that because a couple of times this sun conversation has brought in flashes of my time sitting with the indigenous Mayan elders back in December. I spent almost the entire month in the Yucatan traveling around to the different temples and ruins and sacred sites and ceremony after ceremony after ceremony. And so many of them are for the sun. Keen is what they call the sun, and we might call him Helios or whatever. But yeah, I saw those solar beings for the first time as well, just back in
Yeah.
December. I thought I knew a little something, and
Yeah.
then yeah, then there's always something more that reveals
Mhm.
itself. And yeah, that was really wild because they literally told me, yeah, like people on your planet don't understand because the sun is like this gaseous fireball, and they think, how could there be beings there? but they're in a different form, right? They're not in this type of physical form. And so yeah, it's not like the heat's bothering them, right? It's
Mm.
their environment. It's how that was designed. But what I wanted to get to was how the Mayans also channel the Pleiadians a lot, and sometimes the Syrians and other star systems, and they're just so tapped in, and they're so tapped into the earth. And I just love how cornfields are sacred places, and they're treated just like a temple. And you really do embody the reverence for all life, and that there's holiness everywhere if you're willing to see it and experience it. And this planet is sacred. But the sun, they really talked about how this polarity you mentioned, and how, yeah, like we need to use these infinity symbols to get on board and be in this flow of oneness and kind of move past this very elementary phase of feeling separate and divided. And what they said about that was that we're having allergic reactions to each other in terms of the people who consider themselves awake and more on the spiritual path and kind of overtly participating in all of this and the evolutionary cycle. And then the people who are maybe more material world focused or more dense and trying to preserve the old matrix and tradition and even patriarchy and control and things like that. And we're like, ugh. And there's this judgment on both sides, right? We're both kind of having allergic reactions to each other. That's a really common thing. And they said, so all of you who are in a state of consciousness where you can be in leadership and you can be part of the innovation, you have to first reclaim the parts of yourself that are reflected in what you consider to be the other side.
That.
Right?
I'm laughing at myself, but yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, yes,
Mhm.
because we always seem to come back to the integrity, and that is part of the hard work right now. Like if I'm going to be in full integrity, I'm going to have to reclaim any part of me that I've disowned. So, what is the positive or exalted manifestation of greed? Maybe that's just letting myself receive,
Oh, beautiful.
right? What is the exalted manifestation of control? Maybe that's giving myself empowerment to actually make a contribution and speak my truth
Mm.
without, you know, asking for compliance from anyone else, but just, right? And so there are different ways, like the things that we see that we're like, oh no, not that, or this, like the big egos out there, like, oh, I don't want to be that big ego that's whatever, strutting around showing my abs or showing how much money I have. Oh, that looks terrible. Well, maybe we're not in ownership of our own beauty, whether that's physical, whether that's spiritual, right? What are we denying in ourselves? And so they said that's the work of this new cycle of integration, is first reclaiming all of the parts that you've rejected and finding
Mm.
how to hold them in their exalted form. And so that took my work in the parts work field to a new level too, because that's what we do there on a personal level. Let me reclaim whatever's in the shadow, because the shadow doesn't mean bad, it just means hidden. And so, yeah, what part of me wasn't welcome in my household or in my school or in my society or whatever? And how can I reclaim that so that I can be in full ownership of myself and also benefit from the resources that those parts have? And the inner child or the angsty teenager, they all have a positive intention for the self, right? And
Wow.
so it's kind of the same idea, but more on a collective level. Like these are energies we can use if we know how to meet them and hold them in a way that is useful and aligned.
Yes. And I think another side of a similar or same coin that I've been feeling called to speak to a lot, and just in the last week with all these Leo energies alive is similarly, rather than it's, I mean, believe me, I look out there and see a lot of things I don't like and are very disturbing and distressing. I mean, that is very true. And what I've been really called to myself is noticing in myself, in me, even the teeny tiny little subtle things, that I maybe have been doing or have done that have been just a little tweak kind of out of integrity. Just okay, just how do I meet myself in that, right? First of all, ideally, hopefully, acknowledge it, like be honest with myself that okay, oh yeah, like I'm not perfect. Like I really am human, truly. Like really,
Yeah.
really. And to hear it, I had a friend last week who came to me and said, "Hey, can we talk? There, there's this like pattern I'm noticing that I would love to." Yeah, so I said, "Sure, of course." And this person was amazing, amazing communicator, and yeah, and just said, "Hey, I'm uncomfortable when you da 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 da," and I went, "Oh, yeah,
Mm.
yeah."
Mm.
Got it. And what transpired since then, we had a beautiful, conversation about it. And then what I noticed in me was when I was able to hold myself and like just hold the situation, not take it personally, just like hear the reality in it.
Mm.
Uh, then it has had this whole ripple effect through my whole, it's like this huge relief in my system on a holistic level, and a few days later now I wrote back to my friend this morning and was like, "Hey, I just want to again say thank you so much for bringing that to me because the ripple effect for in my own being has been massive, like life changing, like this teeny tiny little tweak and it just goes you know and like, oh, wow." But take that little thing that she was pointing out and blow it up into a massive scale. And I could easily point out over there going, look at blah, blah, blah. That thing is so terrible that so and so is doing. But it's like we have this like magic key in our own being. It feels like we're a microcosm of everything else, right? So even those teeny tiny little tweaks we make in ourself, I feel like are just going to have these, oof, like, oh, such beautiful, ah, I just, again, feeling just the relaxation in my own system.
Permission to be authentic and
Yeah.
permission to be imperfect.
Yeah, that.
Yes, but also since you've, yes, shared so vulnerably and beautifully here, I don't think you'll mind if I say that your guides are like going crazy celebrating you because you're also modeling something which is when you're no longer shame bound, you can take feedback.
Yes. Yes. Oh, wow.
It's massive. Like I have so much emotion moving through me because that's such a massive shift that so many people have a hard time with. The second someone wants to bring something to your attention that they're maybe uncomfortable with, the reflex is usually defenses going up because we don't think that our shame body can handle
Yes.
whatever they might bring and it might flood us and we might not survive it. That's the old story that the nervous system brings.
That's exactly it. I had not put it that way. That's exactly it. It's shame. Right, right. If we, yeah. Amazing. And again, that brings me back to your infinity symbol because it's like what helps me let go of the shame is feeling integrated in myself, whole in myself. Like it's okay. Like, I'm okay. It's all right. It comes back to self-love. I mean, also, but yeah,
Mm.
self-love is holding us ourselves in wholeness, right? And the wholeness holds that infinity symbol. Uh,
Yes.
mhm.
Yes. Ah, so beautiful. So beautiful. It's hard. I remember when I was first being really brutally honest with myself. It's like, oh, this is new. I'm so used to, just allowing those little threads of avoidance to kind of conveniently, yeah, stick around. And then it's like, oh, this is the deeper work. This is really, really powerful. And the result is exactly as you said, something in your nervous system relaxes. It's like, oh, I'm still okay. It's fine.
And you know
And
what's funny? It's like it's hard to explain this without going. Obviously I'm not going to divulge the thing because it's personal, um, but was just so amazing to me was that I have had this really deep wish for a certain thing in my life. Okay, not a thing, but like a more of a quality or a feeling I want in my life. And and this issue that my friend brought to me wasn't exactly related to that, but I know, you know what I noticed is that when I act even the tiniest bit out of integrity in the way she brought to me, or I should say when I come back into full integrity in that way, it has a ripple effect that has now made it, I can feel it, that the energy I've actually been like over here going, I want more of this feeling in my life. I went, oh, wow. If I'm acting out of integrity over here, that's actually holding back me experiencing this thing I've been wanting, you know? It's like, there we go. It's all related, right? So it's all in service actually of me for me to, let go of the shame and be willing to, yeah, shift in my own self, right?
yes.
Same, 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 same.
Oh,
Mm.
completely. I always love the Latin root of confidence is confidens, which means with faith.
Ooh,
And so, yeah, in this Leo season, we can have faith in ourselves to stay the course and do the uncomfortable things and let go of coping mechanisms or whatever is no longer in service, ways that we could be out of integrity or things we're putting in our bodies or media we're consuming or, right, the things that we know we're probably not aligned with anymore, but we're kind of hanging on to them. If we can have that faith in ourselves to actually keep going with our brave hearts and let those things go and move toward that next level of embodiment in our integrity and our authenticity and our radical expression. First of all, we're sending a signal to the inner self that yes, you are enough. And yes, I do love you. And no, we don't have to live in hiding anymore. But
yes.
then the definition of confidence that I got from the guides is coherence. When your inner world and what you're expressing outwardly are in coherence, you will feel so invincible. You will feel so aligned. You will feel so confident, and not in an egocentric way that's built on sticks, but in a sustainable way that's built on really solid foundation. So yeah, I'm really happy that that came up too, because yeah, we're in that energy right now, this incredible solar power. And then with this influence of Sirius A, which is more of that lunar energy, as we were talking about, more of the subconscious level, we can really find that coherence within ourselves, even in our own yin yang. We can find that balance that is so liberating.
Yes, exactly. So, okay, two last things briefly before we close. I'm wondering, I would love for you to share about all things you want to share, like what you do, what is coming up, what people can join you in. Um, and then maybe after you do that, would you feel comfortable doing really, really, really brief, like mm, prayer or meditate, some very brief thing to help us be present with this Lionsgate energy or whatever this, yeah, some sort of helping us drop in and go.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so share all the things.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness. Well, yeah, I mean, so first and foremost, the sort of campfire that I have for folks to gather around is a community class every Tuesday on Zoom, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And yeah, it's a sort of master class that I'll put together with some content that I share, and then we embody it through the somatic movement. And yeah, there's just something really special about the formula of getting things out of our body to make space for whatever we're bringing into our bodies and into our energy fields. And then we go into a deeper meditation and kind of like a Shavasana relaxation period and some sharing after. So that's a really beautiful community offering. Just come when you like. It's by donation. The replays get sent out too if it's not your time zone and all that. So yeah, so I always love to have new folks coming in and joining us there. And then we know we have the big Soul Magic retreat coming up. So that's going to be beautiful. August 16th is the start, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we still have space because we're in this beautiful theater in Santa Barbara. So you can join us live in person or you can join us on the live stream. And yeah, it's just going to be beautiful with Lee Harris, and we have Devor doing music, and we have Katie Samwell doing sound, and myself doing integrations every afternoon. And yeah, it's going to be pure magic. So please join us for that if you feel called.
And I'll be
And
there, but I'll be in the audience, obviously.
yes, we're so happy that your energy is going to be in the mix. And yeah, it's just going to be really beautiful gathering of souls. I've been getting all kinds of transmissions at how impactful this gathering is going to be. So,
And there's going to
oof,
be a dance party, and there's going to be a concert, right? And yeah, and
yeah.
it's in Santa Barbara where I live, and it is. This is. I can't say enough. I've said so many things. People have heard me say raving about Santa Barbara so many times. So yeah, and for people attending Soul Magic, and actually even for people not attending Soul Magic, I'm holding my own thing separate from Soul Magic, but the same day Soul Magic is starting. 11 a.m. on August 16th, Sunday, at a very sacred spot, um, to help people, especially attending Soul Magic. But again, anybody's welcome. To feel the magic of this place, because I don't think it's a coincidence that you guys are coming. You're bringing Soul Magic to this place. This place is so I can't, so many beautiful things. And yeah, in particular, I'm going to be channeling these inner earth beings who, who I met in this spot we're meeting at. So that's an additional thing that anybody attending Soul Magic, come to that if you want to. Um, yeah,
Oh, such
yeah,
a
the whole
beautiful,
thing.
beautiful offering. I love it. I love it. Yeah, and then speaking of Lee Harris Energy, we have the Empowered Sensitive course that's out. And then the next one coming up will be Empaths and Narcissists 2.0. So I'll have some modules in there that just really help embodiment and making those shifts and kind of understanding the dynamics a bit more. And yeah, so really excited about that one too, because this is the moment of the empaths and light workers to really rise. And so, yeah, we're just going to keep creating things that help facilitate that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I highly, highly, highly recommend the Empowered Sensitive. Like I said, I think I said while we were recording, but basically for me, it feels like a basic 101 for all of us because we're all sensitives and empaths. I mean, everybody watching, I'm sure you are. I certainly am. And it was like it was just a lot of really supportive, practical hygiene for myself. Like, okay, I have a particular I noticed when I was listening to all the modules, it's like my particular sort of issue is around having very clear boundaries when I need to tell someone no. How can I I need some like brainstorming around this, right? So there was a module around that. And then so many other skills, like basic skills. Yeah, so I highly, highly recommend it. And I'm sure 2.0 will be amazing too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah. That's gonna be it's gonna be good and it complements empowered sensitive so much because then we're working with those empath themes again, but from some new angles. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's kind of what's on the horizon.
Yeah. Oh no, I already signed up for I'm talking about narcissists, right? I was getting it mixed up. No, yes, I already signed up for it. My guides have me sign up for the narcissist and empaths one too.
Oh, I love it. I
That's what
love it.
you're 2.0 that. Yes. Um, beautiful. Any other thing you want to share about?
Wow, I don't think so. Yeah, pretty much everything's on satdevbir.com in terms of what I'm up to. So yeah, come say hi, socials and whatnot. Always love to, yeah, be in community and keep growing community and come together in any way that we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sat.
Indeed.
You want to do like really like 1, 2 minute just to help us kind of go
Mm,
into this?
let's do it. Absolutely. Yeah, invite everyone to lower your gaze or close the windows of your eyes with us and take in the wealth of this moment. We have some really beautiful presence wealth here, stillness wealth, and receptivity wealth. So really feeling your own receptivity, your own softening, and this presencing with yourself that can allow you to drop into the deeper layers, those subtle layers we were talking about, of attuning to each part of you, knowing that everything you discover about yourself will only allow you to be that much more authentic, creating that much more coherence, and essentially being that much more impactful in your life and the lives of others. I'll just go ahead and call in an invocation. O cosmic birther of all radiance and vibration, who fills all realms with sound and light, may your will be felt in our utmost holiest as your heavenly domain approaches. We dedicate this time space to receiving the benevolent energies of the Lionsgate portal, the blessings of those who support and guide us, the Sirians who have already walked this path of evolution. And so they come forward again and again, relentlessly caring for us, nurturing us, cheering us on with an existential confidence in our becoming. So may we live into that, this Lionsgate, with our presence, our willingness, our openness, our receptivity, and all that we may be called to do in terms of practice, ritual, sharing, participation, even if it's just creating space for silence to tune in and receive. And so we give gratitude for all of the forces of light that are coming to us and through us at this time. May we be empowered, and may we continue to rise to realize the next level of harmonics that are available to us here on earth. And so it is.
And so it is. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Still in the vibration of that. So thank you for prompting that.
Yeah, I'll just share briefly in case people are interested. What I was feeling was that infinity symbol going up my chakras, like up front of my body, and yeah, especially the front. And then I was experiencing, oh, and then down my spine too. And then I was experiencing this big room, that of this ashram, celestial ashram that you're describing, and the sense of your spirit team, your spirit world, and the world that I have tended to be part of in my spirit team, etc., and my community. It's like your world coming together with that world. It's bringing in a whole different set of codes for me personally. But I think it's like whoa, 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 whoa. They're so similar and so much overlap, yet a whole different. I don't know how to put it into words yet, but
Oh,
profound. Is like,
I
yeah.
love that you named that because, yeah, I was really sensing that too. And it's such beautiful evidence of the power of two or more and how we really do become more than the sum of our parts, and something entirely new can be born. And so we're experiencing this in real time in a public way with all of you. This is so cool. Yeah.
Never done this before.
That's right. Breaking ground in real time. It's amazing.
Wow. And again, it feels like that infinity symbol, like that we have so much to bring to each other, right? All of us, when we come together, rather than stay over in here, this little room and in that little room and in that little room. It's like, wait, we come together. Like, I still get to be me, you still get to be you, but then we inform each other, and it's like, who knows what that's then what we're birthing together, all together. Like,
Yeah,
wow.
truly. Well, the heart is so, so quantum. That's the other thing with this courageous, brave heart energy. The
Mm.
heart is so quantum. It connects us to the whole of infinity. So yeah, let's keep our hearts open, spiritual warriors. Love you all.
Happy Lionsgate, eclipse season, and beyond, and way beyond.
Indeed.
Right.
Yes, infinite blessings all around.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. See you all soon. And we would love, of course, to hear anything you want to share and what comes alive. All right. See you soon.